glorify you, Jesus. Magnify you, Lord. You're worthy of the glory, Lord.
The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Last week, we concluded with the fact that anything that you give to the poor should be to help them get gain that won't be forgotten. And today, we're still looking at alms, and which just means giving to the poor. And today we're going to look deeper into alms in preparation for Pentecost. Because upon next week, and do remember to bring what you've set aside to give for Pentecost on next week, because next week we will be doing the wave offering. And as we look at what alms is more in depth on today, I promise you, you will not see your life the way that you've seen it in times past ever again. Because in the passage that I wanted you to look at last week, in the book of Acts chapter 3, the fact that you should have looked at it and been a little familiar with it, I read it last week. I wanted you to look over it some more this week, because as I step into it today, you're going to see a lot of things a little bit differently. In the book of Acts, chapter 3, beginning at verse 1, we'll read down through verse 12. It says this, it says, "Now Peter and John went up together into the temple at the hour of prayer, being the 9th hour. And a certain man, lame from his mother's womb, was carried, whom they laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple, who seeing Peter and John about to go into the temple, asked an alms. And Peter, fastening his eyes upon him with John, said, Look on us. And he gave heed unto them, expecting to receive something of them. Then Peter said, Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have give I thee. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk. And he took him by the right hand and lifted him up, and immediately his feet and ankle bones received strength. And he, leaping up, stood and walked and entered with them into the temple, walking and leaping and praising God. And all the people saw him walking and praising God, and they knew that it was he which sat for alms at the beautiful gate of the temple. And they were filled with wonder and amazement at that which had happened unto him. And as the lame man which was healed held Peter and John, all the people ran together unto them in the porch, which is called Solomon's, greatly wondering. And when Peter saw it, he answered unto the people, You men of Israel, why marvel ye at this? Or why look ye so earnestly on us, as though by our own power or holiness we had made this man to walk? One of the things that you have to be sure of when giving alms is that you want to be aware of what spirit you're functioning by when you give the alms. If you remember, as we were talking about in giving, there is always a spirit attached to what you give. And that's important. And the reason that's so important is because as you look here in the book of Acts chapter 3 and you see what actually took place, the lame man asked for one thing but got something else. Now, the Spirit by which what was given to him was what produced a change for him. And that's important, because when you understand how things are given to you and what they produce after they're given to you, then it's going to make a difference in how you actually receive it and use it after you get it. And that's important. And see, the man looked at Peter and John expecting something. And he probably was expecting what he normally would get from anybody else walking by. And see, sometimes that is the nonchalant place that God's looking to change all of your circumstances. You woke up and every day just seemed like it was just going to be a regular day. Oh, I'm just going to go sit out here and ain't nothing going to change for me except for they're going to give me a little silver and a little gold. I can't spend it unless somebody takes me somewhere to do it. That's what's going on with this guy. It's not like he's able to just go on his own until he actually receives a change. And that's what's been going on with you. You've been wondering, why has it seemed like nothing's been moving the way that I want it to these past couple of weeks? Well, why has it not been going at the pace that I want it to go? I want this change. I want it for a good reason. But it still ain't changed. But of course, y'all ain't felt nothing like that. It especially didn't hit you Thursday, because that was the 10 days away from Pentecost. See, because I want you to step back and put yourself in the shoes of the disciples. They've been rolling with this man. They've been walking with Jesus. They've been with him for 3 years. They've watched him change water into wine. They've watched trees die. They've watched all of these things change. And then all of a sudden, he's gone. He's gone. And not just gone in a regular way, not just vamoose. They've watched him be crucified. They've watched him get pierced. They've watched blood come out of his side. They've watched all of these things take place. So it's not a question. It's not a rumor of, hey, Jesus is dead. No, they watched it. So they seen it happen. They watched him drop his head and give up the ghost. And then, after this, because that's Passover, okay? That's at the time of Passover. So then it comes around the time of Passover, and Passover's ending. Now, you're going in between that time of Passover and Pentecost, when he's told them and showed them for 3 years what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to have a Passover feast and then wait until they were endued with power from on high from Pentecost. So they knew the pattern. So now they're having to do the pattern without him. His presence is not there. You know, like you've been feeling. It's been feeling dark, abandoned, all of that good stuff. Because that's what this time is supposed to be like. See, that's why I keep up with the time. Because the seasons, God's got them set in order for you to function by. He's saying, I want you to wait right here until you be endued with power from on high. Wait, don't move. Don't try to go start on your own. Just wait right here. I will give you a sign and I will give you some things to let you know when I want you to move. But don't move until you wait right here. And I know what you're already thinking, what has this got to do with alms? It's got everything to do with alms. Because when you are dealing with that time that it feels like there's no present there, remember what we talked about, what poor means. Poor means to be depressed in spirit or in circumstances. And he's saying, I want you to wait right here so that you can understand that it's going to feel a little lonely. Imagine being in another room with 120, 119 other folks, because it was 120 in the upper room. You in another room with 119 other folks, and you ain't moving for 50 days. I ain't talking about you still going about life as normal, and then you come back to the room at night. I'm talking about you staying in the room with 119 other folk not moving. See, it put a little different perspective on things, didn't it? Because when you start thinking of, I can't move, because this is how this is how important they recognize it. They knew not to move because they didn't want to miss something. They didn't want to miss something. And see, that's what God sets up on the Sabbath for us. He says, I want you to come and get refueled. Now, I'm not telling you not to take trips. I'm not telling you not to do that stuff. What I'm telling you is to make sure that when you do, that it's worth the while of what you might miss in the moment. Because if you already had it planned, if it was already set forth before you got the information, that's a whole different ball game. I'm talking about when folks know. When Jesus came to the disciples after he resurrected, he had to tell them, okay, don't leave here. Don't leave here, because not many days hence, you're going to be endued with power from on high. But if you leave, you're going to miss out on something. That's what he's trying to show them. He's saying, I want you to experience what it's like to not have power to change your situation. I want you to see what it feels like with your hands completely tied. and you can't see. So not only can you not move, you can't see. You have no vision, you have no hope, you have no nothing. It just looks like it's gonna stay just like this. That's the way poor people feel. That is the exact way that poor people feel. But not just in your little season, this is the way they feel all the time. This is the way they see life. We have no hope. And that's why I said, as a Christian, you can't say that. He wants you to go through some times and set yourself aside so that you can stay in touch with, okay, somebody's feeling like this all the time. Not just in between Passover and Pentecost. They feeling like this all the time.